use some outsourced companies and pay like $300 and they'll do all of it for you.
Yep.
They'll set up your LLC for you. They'll get your tax ID number for you. They'll file with the state and they'll be your state rep for you because you have to have a rep if you get tax notices and things like that. And they're cheap. You know, you can, again, Google and find an outsourced person that'll do all of that for you. Now you can do it for yourself for nothing, but if it's overwhelming you, it's probably worth like $300 to pay someone to do it for you.
Actually, if you call the tax office, they'll walk you through it and make it relatively easy. I mean, there still are a lot of forms and you still have to fill them out, but having someone tell you, okay, print out form 1, 2, 3 and mail it here.
It's the State Department of Taxation and Assessment. That's who you are. Is that who you went through?
I did the Pennsylvania Department of Revenue, I think.
Okay. I'm thinking of Maryland, so I don't know.
And depending if it's going to be a CRS corporation or an LLC, and the biggest thing there is the tax implications. Sole ownership, I don't know if you're planning on expanding some of the things to think about, but Richmond, their office is very good. We stood up a C corporation. And within, after having discussions with them, it only took about 4 or 5 days. I'm not talking 8 hours a day, but getting the forms, filling them out, and then sending them off. It's not that difficult, but I think the key point is getting somebody on the phone. Richmond has always been helpful. I had to call them like 3 or 4 times to answer the questions.
The nice thing about a single member LLC, which you would be, is you get to file your taxes under a Schedule C, so you don't have to pay for an extra tax return for the LLC corporation, which means more money.
Right.
So now you can, it's really like being a sole proprietor, but you have the shield of an LLC, but all of your expenses.
And what is the shield?
The shield is just to protect if somebody sues you, they can't take you personally if you're operating under the LLC. But for tax purposes, and he probably knows more than I do, but for tax purposes, they look at you like a sole proprietor and you can file it under Schedule C.
Caregivers are, they are the heart of that patient, and they work 24/7 and they're isolated, and it's tough. I mean, I was only a caregiver for 4 years, but I can't tell you how hard that was, and how, when I lost my husband, I was.
And then to transition out of that too,
know,
right? How do you transition out?
I don't think I still have. I mean, I feel guilty if I want to go out and have fun. You know, it's like I feel bad.
I
So
agree.
it's hard, and all my friends have moved on. It's really a horrible thing. First of all, to have the patient with the injury or the illness, but then the caregiver, they're forgotten about. They're just expected to do what they do, and it's hard. It takes a very strong person.
It does. And then, but to have somebody to kind of walk you through and have perspective is really valuable, I think.
Yes.
Someone else to talk to.
When we first started Gator Runs, we went to a small co-packer in Baltimore, and our products are gluten-free. And when we did the label, we had gluten-free on the label. The co-packer said, "You can't put it on your label." And I said, "Why not?" And she said, "Well, you can if you want to sign 60 pages of legal documents, because we have one line, and if there's a certain percentage of wheat that doesn't get cleaned out, we're not going to be liable." So all of the labels were printed up, everything was ready to go, and we had to change it, and we had to take gluten-free off. So after that run, we found a new co-packer that could do it with the gluten-free. But I mean, that was huge. And we could have been sued big time if somebody had a celiac attack. The products were all created by my late husband, who passed away from Lou Gehrig's disease. And he had a dream to have the sauce business. So when he passed away, 3 months later, I said I was going to do the business for him. And so I just jumped in and went. He had a co-packer picked out, went to the co-packer.
How do you go pick a co-packer?
He researched companies that manufactured the product, because you can't do it in your home. You have to have a professional kitchen or large volume manufacturer to do it.
So
But you had no experience.
Zero. I
Zero.
was in that field. Pay the co-packer to manufacture it, and then you have to have a storage facility that's approved by the state to store it, and then you have to go to each individual store and sell it. I'm at the point now where I've been accepted into Whole Foods planogram, so I'm in 42 of those. I've got a liquor distributor that's going to take 125 cases to Maryland and Virginia and put me in contact with the Virginia distributor. 'Cause they
Well,
have,
most of your stuff is sales and marketing.
yes, yeah. But you
She's
know,
out knocking on doors of liquor stores and grocery stores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Encryption authentication and software that's got to go onto a chip, something like this that goes into a circuit board. Within cell phones, computers, servers, we use a trusted platform module, and then from that market price, we reverse engineer our operating costs, what we thought operating services and administration costs. I think you know what I'm talking about. And also fringe benefits for the company in terms of, you know, healthcare. So we backed into that one in order to determine, based upon our biggest competitor out there, how we could reach a break-even point before 18 months. I mean, we just kept playing with the numbers. Because if you change one number, it has an impact throughout your whole financials in it.
I did my pricing totally trial and error, and I found that if my prices were too high or too low, that sales would go down. So if it's too low, people think it's low quality, and they're just as not interested as if you made it $1 million.
And my business has been bootstrapped since day one, so if I didn't make the money, I didn't have the money. And I thought, you know, that I would start the company and I would max all of my hours out working for clients, you know, and I'd be billing all of this money, and then I'd hire people and just double everything that I was doing. It has not worked out that way at all, you know, and I think that 50-50 breakdown is probably accurate. You know, if I thought I could personally work on 5 clients, really if I get beyond 2, I'm really uncomfortable. And so you also spend a whole lot more money than you think you're going to spend. You just keep spending, you just keep spending. And it's very difficult to predict, I think. I think you can try to, you know, understand everything that you're gonna have to pay for, but there's always gonna be times where there's something else that you need to pay for that you did not plan. So you wanna be very conservative in your estimations for how much money you have laying around. And you want to have as much money, you know, sitting for you in case the cash doesn't come in like you expected. It's the best thing I can say. The whole profit margins, I got some input from some financial people about loading rates and, you know, what the margin should be, what's, you know, what's common for businesses like mine, and I think that's helpful. But until you see your own numbers, you know, you're actually in it, you're just guessing. You're just guessing, and so that's why it's been so important for me to have my books in order, so I can look at that every month and really understand what's going on. But always be conservative in your guesstimations.